game-winning guac with freshly baked tortilla chips.
Oh, those look perfect, yay!
I'll then serve up a plate of my rosemary shrimp skewers marinated in a tasty...
My friends are coming for the big game. And you know, we're not going to do takeout. Definitely not doing Chinese. We're going to do some good game day grabs with a Mexican touch, of course. So let's start off with the homemade tortilla chips. Now, this is obviously going to be much healthier than what you can find at the supermarket because they're not going to be fried. They're going to be baked. So much healthier and very easy to do. All I need is some purchased tortillas that we have right here. And we're just going to brush them with a little bit of vegetable oil. And I'm going to do them all in a stack so they're much easier to cut. Because if you were to brush them, you know, all by themselves and then cut them, because we're going to cut these into triangles, it would take you forever. So all we do is we make a stack like this. And because there's some oil down here, you don't need to brush both sides. That's the thing about the stack. It makes it so much easier. So just brush, brush, put them on top. And we're ready to go. And all we're going to do is we're going to cut them into triangles. And you'd be surprised, but some people don't know why tortilla chips are shaped in a triangle. And this is why. You don't want any waste. You cut these into 6 wedges, kind of like a pie. And then you cut them like that. There we go. Perfect. They're not exactly the same size, but you want them to be closest as you can to the same size so they cook it evenly in the oven. And then what we're going to need is a couple of baking sheets, which you don't need to grease because there's plenty of oil in your tortilla chip. And then we're just going to spread them out. Make sure when you put them on your baking sheet that they're nice and spread out, because if you stack them like one on top of the other, they're going to steam instead of baking. So you want to make sure that the heat kind of goes around there all evenly so that you don't end up with a chewy tortilla chip. Okay, these are ready to go. Let's pop these into the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes at a 400-degree preheated oven. You know, people are always asking me how to make the perfect guac.
We know how to make guacamole.
Salt. Brown on. Careful, because they're going to come out hot. Oh, those look perfect. Yay! See, they're nice and crisp, and they're a little brown on the edges, which is exactly what we're looking for. Hot stuff. And we have to season them with salt, because what happens is when they're warm, the oil is still kind of on the surface, and that oil is going to help the salt stick, and you want them to be nice and salty and perfect for the guacamole. So a little bit of salt. I can't even describe how absolutely delicious that is. Simple flavors, salt, lime, cilantro. That's all you need for a perfect guacamole. When we come back, I'll serve up some smoking roast. Started with the sweet and spicy chicken drumettes. Now, I have to tell you the story. Well, I grew up in a country where we only really watched soccer, but I started dating this guy that was obviously obsessed with football. So I had to learn how to make, you know, all those little snacks that people eat when they're watching sports, like, you know, chicken wings or buffalo wings. And if I was going to be making this chicken, it was going to be a Mexican chicken. So that's exactly what we're doing today. So we're going to need some chicken, and we're going to need some butter, and chicken drumettes, so we don't confuse them with drumsticks, because drumsticks are much bigger, and they take so much longer to cook in the oven. You want to go for a drumette, which only needs about a half an hour in the oven. It'll come out nice and crisp and perfectly cooked. So what we're going to do, we're just going to dump these in a roasting pan that's been lined with foil because it'll make for such an easy cleanup. Just spread them out. And then we're going to start off melting 3 tablespoons of butter. Just over medium-high heat. You don't want to cook the butter, you just want it to melt. 3 tablespoons, and 3 tablespoons of butter is just enough that you need for it to be a rich and beautiful and delicious sauce for basting. So we're going to melt that down. So that's melted. We can lower the heat a little bit, and we need to add about 1/2 cup of honey, which is just about that much. And honey is going to make it caramelize in the oven, so you're going to get a nice golden crusty chicken that's going to be absolutely delicious. While this cooks down, we need some nuts as well. So let's cut those up into very small pieces. So let's chop these up. Okay, so this look like they're the perfect size. We're going to grab our ancho powder and our garlic powder. So as you can see, we got honey, we got anchos. It's going to be sweet and spicy and amazing. So that looks like it's nice and reduced. Now we're going to let that cool off. And while it cools off, let me tell you what ancho powder is. Ancho powder is a poblano chile that's been dehydrated and turned into a powder. It's the sweetest of the chile, so it's going to give you great flavor, nice and sweet, and a little bit of kick. Okay, so let me bring that over here. It's pretty hot, so be careful. A little bit of garlic powder, and you don't need to measure it. You can just kind of eyeball it. A little bit of ancho powder, which is so incredibly fragrant. A dash of Worcestershire, and for acidity, we're going to need some distilled white vinegar. A little bit of salt and pepper, maybe 1/2 teaspoon of each. And then we're just going to mix this up. You can really smell the garlic and the honey and the Worcestershire. This is going to be really good. We're just going to brush some of this over our chicken. You want it to be all over the place, on the sides, on the top, on the bottom, because this is what's going to give it all the flavor. We got a great combination of flavors here in a really simple recipe. Who needs buffalo wings when you've got these spicy, sweet drumettes with a Mexican kick? When we're done with that, we can sprinkle some of these pecans over, and try to keep them on top of the chicken because whatever's on the pan is just going to burn. Sprinkle some over, and then we just pop them in a 350-degree oven that's been preheated for about 1/2 an hour. So that was pretty easy. Now I can go out there and watch the game with my friends instead of being in here cooking all day. Our sweet and spicy drumettes are coming out of the oven when we come back. Nice gold. Tamale is done, shrimp is done, and I can smell that chicken. So let's bring it out of the oven. That is looking good. Oh my gosh, it smells absolutely amazing. My friends are gonna love this. So let's plate these up. And you wanna make sure you get some of that sauce on there because you got a lot of flavor in that marinade. And it's going to look amazing. To wash this all down and to watch that game, of course we need a beer, but it's going to be a Mexican